Hi learners, once again, you're welcome to judicial tutorials. I thank you for being here with me. Now it's another great opportunity for us to look at something very important concerning our studies in terms of the topics that we've been looking at in social studies. We looked at our constitution the other time, and I'm going to build on that to talk about something that is found in our constitution. And when we look at the various setup of many government institutions or the country's institutions, we look at what we call the arms of government. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I want you to do that first before we continue with what we have. So just scroll down, get the subscription button. So in today's lesson, I'm talking about the various arms of government. The arms of government can also be termed as organs of government. Just like how the human body functions, you see, the body is networked in such a way that different organs are put together. The head is performing a function, the hand or the hands are performing functions or certain roles. They have to hold, touch, and feel things. The legs are also there. The heart, the internal organs, the intestines, the lungs, the kidneys, they are all functioning, playing a role, which tells clearly that if one ceases to work, it's going to make the body dysfunction in a way. Here we are, when we bring that to our governance system, that's our ruling system. Government itself is just a network of institutions, set up institutions, and that have been created by the country's constitution, and they come together and they are run by personnel or people put in charge to make sure that the administration goes on smoothly. We have to look at how the organs too are put together. When this picture, when we want to look at it in a way, just as I described the human body, we take the major arms or organs of government, and there are three. We look at the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. So you can say the legislative arm of government, you can say the judicial arm of government, and you can also say the executive arm of government. All right. So when you pick these three, they just function and they have their individual powers, and they are supposed to make sure that they don't interfere in each other's business. In certain concepts that allow that they come and check themselves, we'll talk about that later. But for now, we are going to look at the principal roles or basic functions and some other functions of these arms of government. And I'm sure your notebooks are ready, your jotters, and you have your pens over there. All right, let's start. Now, when you look at the sun as a heavenly body in the solar system, in space, the sun gives light, it gives heat. Okay, when we pick government as a network of institutions run by personnel or people put in charge, authority, there are some that are making laws, some that are implementing the laws. There are some also that are formulating policies. Okay, so when it comes to the arms of government, we'll look at which one does this and which one does that. Okay, when you take our 1992 Constitution of Ghana, for instance, the Fourth Republican Constitution, you will see the three arms of government in three of the chapters. So when you pick chapter 8, you pick chapter 10, and then chapter 11. Chapter 8, you find the executive. Chapter 10, you find the legislature. And then chapter 11, the judiciary is there. All their principal functions have been stated over there, and they are clear. So these major functions that they perform, what are they? So they are, I teach my students that when you are describing any of the arms of government, you just have to pick their major function, their principal functions, and then use it to define or describe them. So let's start with the legislature, okay, with lawmaking. So we have making of laws. Then we have enactment of laws. It's just the same thing. The enact means make, so it's just the same term used for that. Then we have amendment of laws. They are also changing laws. They can change a law that they feel is outmoded or has outlived its usefulness, or there's a problem with that particular law. Maybe someone has raised a concern, or a parliament has raised a concern, private members' bill, something that has to do with changing, or a concern of a house member. That's, I'm talking about an MP or a legislator, which has to do with sections of the constitution or portions of, or the provisions of the constitution. All right. When this happens, it means that the law is going to be changed, and changing simply means the amendment. So don't complicate things. You can say the legislature is the arm of government, or the legislative organ of government or arm of government is the organ of government or the arm of government responsible for the making of laws, the amendment of laws, and also the repeal of laws. Repeal in this sense simply means that, okay, when there is an existing law and that law has to be revoked, so they want to just make sure that that law does not exist. So this one, they are actually not changing it, they are taking it off. So they repeal, or they revoke, or they prevent that law, or stop or prohibit that law, or abrogate, okay, or terminate or end that law from being an existing law. That's simply what the repeal means. Okay, so when people are not comfortable with it, definitely people will raise concern and it can be taken off. All right, so that is what the legislature does as an organ of government. So primarily, they are responsible for what? The enactment of laws, that's the making of laws, the amendment of laws, that's the changing of laws, and the repeal of laws. So that is terminating an existing law or abrogating. This is how you have to describe the legislative arm of government. Other functions, good. Let's pick other functions. We look at them. They play a very key role in every state. So when you go to every state where there is legislature, you see there is House of Parliament. Legislators are there, and they are raising concerns about things that are going on in the country. So one of the things they do is to debate national issues. So these issues that come, whether it has to do with human rights abuse, issues that have to do with people going through disaster or crime, insecurity in various portions or parts of the country, they will discuss that and find amicable solutions to that. All right, so that is what they do. They debate on national issues. Good. Now, in the course of the lawmaking, they will look at other aspects also, like controlling national expenditure. So they control the public purse, the public purse. So the money spent, expenditure, the expenses made by the government. Government doesn't just get up and then start spending. All these costs are put down, and whenever a spending is done or there is an expenditure, after that, they set up committees in parliament that sit down to actually probe, okay, look at how the money has been disbursed and how the money has been spent, and there is a balance or something. They look at that and make sure that public money or state money is put into proper use. So when they discover that there's a cause of financial loss to the state, they deal with that issue, and they have to push uh, whatever or whoever is responsible or the culprit to arraign them before the appropriate institutions, and then they also take it from there so they can be prosecuted as such. All right, so these things happen a lot in many advanced countries. Yeah, that's about controlling the national purse. Also, in terms of war, okay, declaration of war, when, because an order or proposal may come from the executive arm of government or something, but the legislature will have to approve of the that particular decision to declare war against another state. So yes, the president, who is at the executive level, may be the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, but he doesn't take a final decision when it comes to declaration of war. So that is what happens in the legislature. So we've seen other functions. They are also there to approve national budgets, of course. So budget is a financial statement, okay? Annual financial statement, and every state needs that. How are you going to spend our money? What are you going to use the money for? Why do you need this money? So they debate over it, and then they approve the budget. They do that. They will also have to debate State of Nation address when it's given by the president, when the president gets to the House of Parliament. This is one of the things that they do over there. Okay, when it comes to investigations, they can also stage various investigations because they have committees in the House. Okay, let's see. In terms of the committees, I spoke about that when I was looking at how lawmakers, okay, how laws are made in our parliament in one of my videos where I spoke about the permanent committees, as the standing committees, and then the ad hoc ones, the temporal ones. So you see the temporal ones, they just set them up. If there is an issue where there is an investigation has to be carried out, they can propose and that committee will be set up. But the committee is dissolved immediately after their work is done. But when it comes to the permanent ones, they are standing committees. They are always there and they look at issues. So when has to do with the budget, they will put the issue before the finance committee. When it has to do with food security, they put it before the agri committee. If it has to do with something, security, there is a committee over there representing security. There's a committee representing education, and they take that, and these are standing committees, and they are not dissolved. Their work continues all day. So they can go on break, which we call the recess. They can go on this and come back at any time. They resume, and then they start their debate again. So the processes of lawmaking, get that video and watch it and get things clear. If you have any questions, you can put it in the comment section. All right. What's their composition? Their membership. So we have the Right Honorable Speaker, that's at the top there. So he sits in our parliament, the chamber, I call it the chamber. So when he sits, then you have the majority, okay, the group that has more seats in the house, and then the minority, that is they sit on the left hand side, and they come together to deliberate over issues. There are some officials there. The clerk is there. Mostly he is reading the bill and then making sure that every member is aware of what the discussion at hand or the motion put before the house. All right, so that is what. So there is a speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, that's how they address him. And then there is also a majority leader leading the group, which has more seats in parliament. Then a minority leader is there. Then we also have party whip. In the various parties or the groups, there is someone who controls or instills discipline in how debates should be carried out or how they should go with their arguments and what they should do. Discipline. So party whips are there for both sides. Yeah. After the Speaker of Parliament, he also has two people that assist him. We don't call them assistants, they are deputies. So there's a first deputy speaker and there's a second deputy speaker. So in the absence of the speaker himself, the first deputy speaker can be there. Mostly they pick that person from the majority side, and the second comes from the minority side. So it depends on the basic rules that they use. So in the house or in the chamber, they have their rules. They mostly refer to them as standing orders, and they go by all these processes or these procedures to make sure that their affairs over there or proceedings are carried out thoroughly and in the right way in the house. So that's about the legislature, and I'm sure you have gotten a lot of facts about them and things that you already know have been enlightened or emphasized. Okay, let's come to the executive arm of government. So if someone is making the law, who is making sure that the law works? Making sure the law works is enforcement. Okay, so that's the implementation. So they are making the law, legislature, but when it comes to the executive, what is the executive? The executive is the arm of government responsible for the implementation of laws and the formulation of policies. They form policies. The policies mostly, because that is where the president is, and he has one power. So as president-elect is sworn into office, he comes to execute all the things. That's what we call executive. They execute all the plans, the ideas, the things that is stated in their manifesto, okay, and told the people that when we come into power, this is what we are going to do. So they put them in a form of what? Policies, and then they propose and put them to the House of Parliament, and then they will also look at that and debate them. So we can have, here in Ghana, we can have the free education, yes, SHS, basic education or senior high school. That's a policy. Planting for food and jobs. We can also have one district, one factory. These are developmental policies, things that they have to come up with to make sure that they are able to push the country to that level that we want it to be. That's the development, talking about development. All right. So that is what they do. So that's how you describe the executive arm of government. Well, membership. When you pick them, you see the president at the top, the vice president or the VP following. Then it comes with Council of State. Okay. When you go to the traditional setup, there is always a chief. The linguists and co are there. Then you have the council of elders. These people are to counsel um, the president. Okay, Council of State in the 1992 Constitution, you can find them in chapter number 9. Yes, chapter number 9. They are there. Anything they do, you get them there, and you see the role they play in the country. So mainly, there are people over there, prestigious people who we revere them as people who have the knowledge, the wisdom to direct the president on decisions to take in any matter. Okay, any matter. So they do that, and he needs them. He needs them. And when that decision is taken, there are people who have to be in charge of the various sectors of the economy or the country, okay, at large, and make sure that they carry out these decisions. Who are these people? The cabinet ministers. So there are portfolios: Minister of Agri, Minister of Finance, Minister of Growth and Transport. So you see, just as their names suggest, there's somebody over there who is put there as a minister, and the person must make sure that, and they have deputies as well. So they have to make sure that they work with the civil service. So the civil service is also part of the executive arm of government, or the public service. So the two are all there, making sure that they carry out the activities or the roles or the functions of the executive arm of government. Any other function could be that, yes, the president is the head, of course, apart from formulating policies and implementing the laws with the various security agencies. He is the commander-in-chief, as I've already mentioned, and he has to deliver State of Nations address. Now, they prepare the budget, because that is where the finance minister is. So he prepares the budget and takes it to the Parliament House, read it before the House. Then the debate will go on before they will approve the budget. So it's a kind of a check, okay? It's a check to make sure that things are done in the right way. Judiciary. The judicial arm of government, yeah, when we talk about the judicial arm of government, is a court, okay? It's a court. So it consists of the courts, and the courts are in levels. So the Supreme Court is the apex court, or the highest court, yeah. Then it's followed by the Court of Appeals, or the appeals court. Then we have the High Court. Then the Magistrate Court, Circuit Court, Regional Tribunals, they are all there at that level, okay? So it depends on the size of the place, the location. If it's a normal district, it could have a magistrate court. If just a small town, developing town, it could have a circuit court, and they are all there to do one principal thing, okay? To settle disputes. So how do you describe the judicial arm of government? The judicial arm of government is the arm of government responsible for the interpretation of laws. So see what is happening here. Enactment of laws for the legislature, implementation of laws for the executive, and then interpretation. You need to get these terms right, okay? The interpretation of laws. So that is why it's solely given to the Supreme Court. So everyone has a right to draw their attention or get their file a document just to find out the meaning of a provision in the Constitution. It is your right to seek understanding, or to seek an explanation or an interpretation about any provision of our laws, and that is what you can do. The Supreme Court is ready to explain that portion for you, and that is the interpretation. They are the custodians of our Constitution, so they protect the Constitution and make sure that any form of dispute is resolved in the country, even this disputes between the other two organs of government. So it's a very key institution or arm of government. Okay, the membership, I've already said, consists of the court, and I've given you the levels of the court. So there is, in our Constitution, when you pick the Supreme Court, for instance, the Chief Justice is there, and it shouldn't have not less than 9 judges. So the 9 judges are there. They could have more, but I'm sure they are maintaining the 9. Yes, for now it's 9. And then there is the Chief Justice over there, making sure that all the smaller courts are controlled. Now, why are they in levels? It's because of the degree or magnitude of cases that they handle. You can't just pick a case like they stole my father's goat, and then I go and then file report, take that case. That case cannot be taken to the Supreme Court. So they handle cases in terms of their levels, okay, and the degree, the level, the severity of the cases. So cases that have to do with election petition, okay, something that has to do with the Constitution, because they are the custodians of the Constitution, they have to deal with that matter. So it can straightly go to the Supreme Court. With the High Court, and they can handle minor cases, theft cases, cases that have to do with abuse of right, misconduct, and all these things, felony, and all these. Treason cases, yes, High Court, yes, and it could be taken to the appeals or the Supreme Court as well, depending on the level of the case. All right, so that is it about the judicial arm of government. Now, who are their heads? I've already mentioned. So, Chief Justice for the judiciary, then we have the Speaker of Parliament for the legislature, and then we have the president for the executive arm of government. Yes, so these are the arms of government, and I believe that if you are being asked to describe the arms of government, these are the things you have to do. So you have to state their principal function, add other functions, at least two of them. Then what do? You also add their membership, okay, the people who work there, the composition of them, of the arms of government. Then that should score the perfect mark or score for you. Yes, I don't think that would be a problem at all. And I believe you've been able to jot a lot of things down. You can replay this video and then get all the things that I've said here on this particular platform. Yes, in another video, I'll be talking about how they check themselves, and I'll give you some tips or information about the concept that actually had made it possible for them to be able to check themselves and also function without interference. I thank you for watching this video, and I'll be coming your way with another interesting lesson. Until that time, take care out there, and bye for now.